So you got a new album coming out, third album.
Yeah, June 10th. It's called Every
Yeah.
Single Thing. It's my favorite one yet. I know everyone says that, but like, yeah, it was such a different process, I think, to the last two. It was a lot more kind of fun because it happened in a more concise time period. You know, it was like the first time I'd actually gone somewhere, had like 5 weeks to make an album,
Yeah.
made it, and then it was done, you know, so kind of more old school.
Right. So where did you do it in the end?
So it started out as like my main collaborator, the producer that I work with on the tracks is he's called Matt Brad, but he lives in LA, and ordinarily it's kind of, you know, without a pandemic it would just be fine because one of us would be in each other's hometowns and we would just do it like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, we started out working remotely and had about 3 tracks down, and then
Right.
it was just like painfully slow, like the process of doing stuff remotely, you know, every idea you want to execute takes like half an hour instead of 2 minutes, you know. So eventually we managed to get out to Mexico City where they were letting people come in.
Mexico City.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we rented a little like Airbnb apartment and just kind of brought the studio in a suitcase and did it there. And then
Right.
and then we finished it off in LA when I was allowed in.
How did the Airbnb people feel about that? Or did they know? Or, you know,
Well, we arrived and she was like, it's a very quiet apartment block.
Yeah. Yeah, carrying
and
guitars and instruments and all sorts of things.
I was renting a guitar out there, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna like, you know, I play acoustic guitar, like, is that okay? But I mean, we kind of shortly found out. I mean, we're in Roma, which is like a very like bustling, cool neighborhood in Mexico City. And I mean, we kind of found, I mean, the second night the people below us had like a massive party, so we are just like, oh, fuck it.
Yeah.
Everyone could hear
fine.
everything, but that meant that everything faded into the noise. So there's quite a lot of Mexico City like on the album just from it bleeding in.
Great.
Yeah.
What did you think of me? I've never been there. What's it like?
It's good. I mean, I've been there twice now. So I went back in November last year to play Corona Capital Festival, which is like their Coachella, I guess, their like big festival. And that was sick. I mean, I love it. It's I think it is the biggest city in the world in terms of like
I think it is.
land rule.
Yeah.
And I've been to just a very kind of, I think you get very different flavors wherever you go. I was in a fairly like sanitized, like trendy area for most of it, which is Condesa, and then Roma, which is like they're right next to each other. So I was kind of in and around there in the central district. I'm sure there's lots to explore that I haven't seen.
Yeah, I'm sure there's lots of areas not to go to either.
yeah. I mean, I did a photography shoot out there just to like get with my friend Fernando, and like he took me to kind of more of the places where, I mean, it's kind of like every city in that every area is kind of on a journey of getting itself together, and like places that, you know, the tourist board would be like, don't go here, but then if you're with someone from Mexico City, they're like, nah, it's like, it's chill, just go during the day and like don't fuck around, you know.
So is it I mean, how do you see it? Just, I mean, even though it is cohesive and has been done in a concentrated period of time, does it still feel like it's a collection of songs, or is there some kind of running narratives or themes going through there at all? Yeah,
I mean, not that this is a groundbreaking theme, but it's a 10-track album of love songs. And it was kind of, I mean, it was inspired by like how I finished the last album recording, to be honest. Like there was a track called Be Around Me, which ended up being the biggest song off my last record. And that was also, one of the last tracks, I think the second to last track that I finished in early 2020. So it felt like I was picking up that track, kind of had inspired the tone of the album that's about to drop now. And I think it was, you know, I was like newly in love. I was reflecting on like relationships that had gone wrong in the past, and then also was just like around my parents a lot more. And so I was just like thinking about I don't know, relationships and love a lot. So if there were to be, if I were to broaden, like, you know, the themes at all, it's kind of like there's some songs that look at how I felt about the idea of being in a relationship or like love as a teenager, and how kind of ridiculous and like abstract that, and how little I cared about it, and then kind of how important it is to me now, and then also to think about you know, the last track is a bit more existential, thinking about, you know, what kind of purpose does it serve in the grand scheme of things, like why on earth do we have even the capability to feel it, you know? So yeah,
questioning it at the end.
Yeah, it's a song called Guaranteed. It's like fairly morbid, but
yeah, that's all right, that's good. We have to confront these things, don't we, on a daily basis.
The opening line is, "Nothing in life is guaranteed but change and death."
Yeah. It used to be taxes and death, from what I understand. But
true.
Yeah, good. Yeah, no, existentialism is definitely a running sort of, well, it's, you know, it's come back. No, I wouldn't say fashion. That's not really the right word, is it? Fashion, but
it's in the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Life is pretty hard for anyone, and staying on top of it, like, and on top of your brain is not easy. So like, I think that's probably why my songs sound why they do, is that it's me kind of focusing in on like moments of joy and weightlessness, or like real optimism in the face of all the bullshit. Like, that's kind of how I deal with it, because those moments are really slippery, you know what I mean? Like, you don't really often feel weightless or like pure joy or really hopeful, you know. It's like, even if you're an optimistic person, you're striving for those feelings rather than just like feeling them all the time. So I kind of see it, the songwriting for me, for the more positive stuff, is kind of like gripping onto those moments. So like trying to paint them in that moment, and then I'm like, okay, cool, that exists, and then it's kind of an access point for everyone, you know. So even if it is just like a, you know, like a pop song that just makes you feel kind of like giddy and like a day out in the sun or something, I'm like, I need that on a regular basis. So that's kind of I think the older I've got, I realize that's just kind of why, you know, I try to like boil down like why do I make music again? And I think it is just for that. It's like I like making people feel better. That's probably at its core. So I think if I ever did anything else, it'd be like that. I'd give people massages or some shit.
You could sing a song at the same time, maybe. I don't know. That is the future. I've just maybe you've thought about that before, but singing masseur.
If I could master like whale song or something, then I'd be in.
Brilliant. So you've just been on tour with Declan McKenna, haven't you?
Yeah, soon to be back on as well. We did 2 dates, and then
2 dates
on Sunday, joining him for Europe.
Okay, right. Were you familiar with him much before his work, or knew him?
Yeah, we've been friends for a while. We kind of came onto the scene or whatever, like emerged at a similar time in like 2016. So because of the kind of music and like how we look and our age and stuff was similar, we kind of, you know, you get put on the same kind of bills and same kind of press. So we operated in a similar world, and kind of through that just became pals, and we've hung out on and off over the years and done some collaborations together and stuff, none of which is public as of yet, but is in the works. So it was kind of, it was based off of like, you know, we're working on some tunes that we had written together over lockdown, and he'd gone out to LA to work with my producer Matt, who we did these sessions with initially in 2019, and he really liked one of the songs, so he'd gone to finish one of the songs I'd written with him, and then we were just kind of texting around that, and I was like, oh, if you need support, like I'll totally do it. So it was like a few years in the making, but I think definitely both of our fans are kind of happy to see it happen, because it's like people have asked for it for a while.
Brilliant, good stuff. You played in Worthing, didn't you? I think.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, what's that like? That's just down the road from me, but I've
Yeah,
hardly ever been there.
I have some friends from Worthing, and
yeah.
I have not spent enough time there to have an opinion. But the first thing people asked was, "Why are you playing in Worthing?"
Yeah, yeah.
But I think
it's up and coming. There's a lot of good stuff happening in Worthing there. Yeah, yeah. It's
yeah,
good. Yeah,
I think I mean, my hometown is Tunbridge Wells, so it's
yeah.
not far. But I think it
No,
has like we have one really good small independent venue called the Forum. But
that's right. Yeah,
I'd say it's kind of it's always nice to play towns or small cities or whatever that aren't necessarily on the
I agree.
on
Yeah,
the
yeah,
routing, just
yeah,
because you sometimes you play like Hull or something and it's like the best gig of the tour, or like
yeah,
Wellington, and
yeah.
it's not somewhere that I don't know, American bands or whatever, they wouldn't know the town
No,
name or anything like that. But no, Worthing was good. I mean, it was a big space, and Declan had he had like a 10-piece setup and
okay.
stage design, and it was
Yeah.
kind of functioned as like a dress rehearsal for Royal Albert
Mm,
Hall. But we were in like a school hall. That was what it
yeah,
felt like. So it was pretty cavernous. The sound
yeah,
in there wasn't was a lot to like battle with in your
yeah.
ears playing drums in that space.
Okay, cool stuff. Well, you'll be in Brighton tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
God, tomorrow. Um, Great Escape is it just the one show you're doing?
It's just the one show, and then I have like a bunch of promo and stuff that I'm doing. And then I'm kind of heading back to London in the evening to catch an artist called Porches. Do you know Porches?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah,
He's
yeah. I don't
great.
know.
Going to that show, but yeah, no,
Mm,
I'm gassed to. This is like the first proper show that I'm doing with like a 2-piece live setup. So we've kind of built a different rig for touring in Europe and for some festival shows where it's like we have like MPC pads, trigger pads, keys, 2 guitarists, 2 vocal mics, and we kind of set up kind of like drum loops and various things.
yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit multi-instrumentalist vibe,
Mm.
but also easier to fit in a smaller vehicle to get around.
Yeah, yeah.
So it works. It just
Save
means,
money, save the planet.
yeah, literally, planet
What a-
first. Yeah.
who's the other person?
It's my guitarist, Benedict Quinn is his name.
Okay.
He's very sick. Like,
Yeah.
he's just
Good.
graduated. He's like a jazz guitarist, but
Yeah.
gets his pop on for my stuff.
So you live in Tunbridge? Were you based around there?
No, I live in New Cross,
A Newcastle, okay.
which
So
is like,
you haven't got far to go then to get to Brighton because it's quite an early show, isn't it?
yeah, I will be up early as fuck tomorrow, but
Yeah. Yeah. Don't be late.
I have to go get my car from Kent, and then
Right. Yeah.
that's where all the gear is, and then get to the show.
Have you done the Great Escape before?
I've done it a few times actually.
Okay.
I did it, but like when I was a lot younger, because I did like the Fringe thing when I was like 16, 15
Right.
or 16.
Yeah.
And then around like I think it's 2016 and 2017 that I did it.
Right. Okay.
But the kind of it's like 2 different eras of my career, because when I was super young, I did my first album when I was like 18 with Atlantic Records and like in a major system, and then have since done everything independent since then. So it's kind of this is like, I'm hoping that with the mustache, like people will just roll like I didn't have that before, so it's like
Yeah.
oh, I don't remember this guy playing.
Yeah. Did you grow up for Mexico? Or did you have it before?
They do appreciate it over there, I'd say.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I've never been to Mexico, but it does look like you could pass for a Mexican, especially with the slightly unshaven facial.
Yeah, I mean they love it. I mean that the appetite, or like the love, I guess, for one of the biggest surprises I had when I kind of discovered it. I was somewhat aware of it before, but I discovered it through my song like being kind of like a hit on Mexico City radio over 2020.
Right.
And then I kind of, as I got more and more of a fan base in Mexico, I started realizing that pretty much every guitar band that you go on, especially like British indie and like classic stuff, like Queen and the Police and all this kind of stuff. You look at their top cities, it's usually always Mexico City. There's just like a huge fan base for like British guitar music.
Yeah.
And like indie music in general, which was something that I wasn't kind of aware of before then. But I mean, they love it, they just call me like either George Harrison or Freddie Mercury, and
yeah. Yeah. Just roll with it.
yeah. I'm like, sure, yeah. If I'm on that level, I'll take it.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Okay, well, I'll try and catch you in Brighton tomorrow at the Great Escape, early 1ish or something like that, at 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, 12:30 p.m. at the
12:30. That's really early, isn't it? But I'll be up. I'll be there. That's actually a fantastic time to see I've always wished there was more live music in the afternoons, because I think it's actually a really good time to go to see a show.
Yeah.
I don't know how musicians feel about it so much, but yeah. Why not? Why not?
I think at a place like Great Escape, the whole thing is kind of like fairly, I like it as a punter, but it is like fairly relentless gigging. So
it is,
to capitalize on the freshness.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Maybe a bit hungover. I don't know about fresh, but at least they won't be drunk.
Emotionally vulnerable, maybe.
Yeah, emotionally vulnerable. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I'll see you tomorrow, and thanks very much for taking the time, and look forward to hear. Well, I've heard the album, but the album will be out officially in June, early June, and hopefully we'll get to see you again in Brighton at some point in the future.
Oh yeah. I'm trying to come down to do maybe like an in-store or something in the summer.
Yeah.
Once the vinyl comes out. So.
All right. Brilliant. Okay. Cool. Thank you. And
thanks for making the time, man. I appreciate it.
Cheers. Thank you very much.